Okay, so hi to the first meeting of the testing and release group. For today, we will focus more on testing, but I think before focusing on testing, we have some more important things to do, like setting some goals and agree on those. So I've created this Trello board, but maybe before we go into in prioritizing the goals or refining the list of goals, we could introduce ourselves if that's needed.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, I can start. So I'm Mihai, I'm working for SUSE in the SUSE Manager group, and we are using Salt here. I'm working in this team since 3 years, and I'm working together with Johan and Pablo here in the same squad, basically. And basically that's it. I'm working with Salt and Python, and we also have some other Python related tasks, but mostly it's about Salt. What's next? Maybe Alberto. That's what I see in my list.
Hi.
Hi, Alberto.
Hi.
Perfect. So I am Alberto. I am also part of SUSE. I am in a different team. I am a Python developer, but relative new Salt user because I'm only using Salt since 9 months ago. I am using Salt for a different kind of task. Basically, my team is developing an installer based on Salt, so I am exercising funny part of Salt that was not maybe not designed for that, so it's a good way to contribute. And yes, I joined to this team because I think that is quite relevant, the testing of the project, and in particular, the testing of OpenSUSE Leap and Tumbleweed, and I hope that I can help them. So next is, I think that is Pablo.
Okay, so yeah, as Mihai said, I also part of the SUSE Manager team at SUSE. Yeah, we work basically on the Salt integration with SUSE Manager because SUSE Manager is using heavily Salt under the hood for managing now the clients. Yeah, so I'm here because really interested in, well, we basically maintain the Salt package that is shipped at SUSE for its enterprise products and also for OpenSUSE. So we are really interested in to have a really solid way of testing Salt and also be really involved on the release process, since now also Salt is part of the base system module of SLE 15. So that means every SLE 15 customer has Salt supported there. So that's also why we want to be here, really involved, and of course trying to do our best to keep Salt rocking. Okay, so next one on my list is David.
Is that David Murphy?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm work for Salt. Our main responsibilities are the Linux packaging and the Solaris and AIX platforms. And so I port Salt to AIX, Solaris 10 and 11, package those, and also the automated nightly builds and packaged releases, apart from maintaining Salt on the side as well. That's me.
Thanks. Then in my list after David, we have Johan.
Hi. Yeah, I'm also from SUSE. My name is Jochen Breuer, so we've got a lot of SUSE people here today. Yeah, the others pretty much said everything. But I think nobody mentioned Uyuni. And yeah, so
True.
yeah, if you want to try the open source, no, actually that's not true. The publicly published
Community
version.
maybe version.
Yeah, the community and upstream version of SUSE Manager. Then you can take a look at Uni, and this, like SUSE Manager, is using Salt heavily under the hood. And yeah, that's also the stuff that I'm taking from SUSE and the stuff I'm working in together with Mihai and Pablo. And I think the only one, at least that I see in the list, I think my list is not complete, is Swami. Swami? Is that correct?
Yeah, you can call me a Swami. So yes, so I'm from India. Basically started my career with OpenStack, and wherein I stepped into cloud. So over with cloud, it is almost 5 years journey, and I'm a AWS solution architect certified and SaltStack certified engineer. So so the main yeah. So the work it is we have actually using the SaltStack Enterprise Edition. So it is a fintech company, and we use Salt predominantly for patching and configuration and Salt cloud modules. And so there are most of the Salt states we have been using, and all the modules we have been using. And so I'm also a Python developer with a strong expertise on Django and Flask framework. And I majorly do with DevOps, all the tools, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and etc. So over with Linux, I see like many people from SUSE, OpenSUSE, and SUSE. So so Linux, over with Linux, I was start with Ubuntu, but later in my company we were using Oracle Enterprise Linux as well with CentOS. Basically, I'm comfortable with RHEL. That's from my side.
Thank you. We also have Pedro and Megan, and maybe that's it. Who wants to go next? Pedro?
You can go, Megan.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, my name is Megan. I work at SaltStack. I was previously helping with the releases. I've been taken off that team, and but so I'm still here so that I can give any sort of input. The other release manager should be attending the next one so that we can get even more input in terms of the future releases coming up. But yeah, that's why I'm here, so I can answer any questions and so forth.
Hello, I'm Pedro. I work for SaltStack. Throughout the years, I've been involved both in the open side of SaltStack and the enterprise side of SaltStack. And lately, I've been focusing on helping the core team clean up the tests so that we can have a better maintained Salt. And that's also the purpose of this working group. And so that's the reason why I'm here, to share what I've done and to contribute to what the working group can achieve.
Thanks. Great. I think we all introduced ourselves. Just to let you know, I think that this is like the Slack channel where our group would talk between the meetings. So I'm sending you the link here. And besides that, I think now we could move to look at the Trello board and start looking at some goals or try to add some other goals if they are if you don't see your goal there, we can also add some. So I'm pasting a Trello. The goals that you see in the goals column are not sorted. So ideally after this meeting, we will agree on a priority of these goals and we would move them above that, call it waterline. So the top card that has tilde all over. I will read the goals and then maybe you can think of other goals that we could add here before we start to prioritize them and move them above the waterline. Also, if you have questions about any of the goals, we can discuss that as well. So please ask. So I will start with, but first, is everybody seeing the Trello board, or is there some kind of access issue there? I think it should be public, but I don't know.
Works for me.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, cool. Okay, so one of them is make the release process more transparent. I think for that, we would first need to learn more about how the release process looks like. Anybody that could help us with that, it's more than welcome. Maybe with some links to some wiki pages or some kind of other types of documentation, that would be great. I will add them to this card and then we can look into that. Then another goal could be improve test suite performance in terms of speed and making the test suite more parallel so that we can maybe split the test suite in parallel runs. We would have to check that and how we would get there. Then another goal would be or could be to improve testing on OpenSUSE distributions. That's more maybe something that it's more interesting for us, the SUSE guys, but who knows. Another thing could be actually to merge Salt Toaster. Probably some of you don't know what Salt Toaster is. I can paste a link there in the card, but for now it's just a tool that we use at SUSE to run the tests, because besides the normal tests that Salt has, or the unit and integration tests, we have another test suite which is using, maybe that's where the Salt Toaster is more useful, because it allows us to run tests using Docker containers, and it allows us things like having the master running on some OS distribution while the minion is running on some other distribution with different Python version or different OS and different Salt version even. So it offers a lot of flexibility there. Another thing could be to improve test results reliability. Basically to not having tests that fail because of transient conditions, like I don't know, from the top of my mind, there could be tests that are relying on some measuring some time or difference or something like that, and sometimes the test passes or fails. I don't know if this is really the case, but things like that. So we would really like to have a test suite that when it fails, we really know that it's a problem and not failing because of some issue that's not related to code. Then another thing could be to define core tests, or maybe to put it like that, to define different groups of tests. It's not really clear here. The idea would be to have some core test suite that would be very fast and would not require a lot of setup. Like we wouldn't need an Nginx server to run those tests, or big things like that. And then having layers on top of that, we have to think about how we would maybe partition the tests, and maybe this could help. Maybe it overlaps a bit with that speed improvement, or even with the reliability. Yeah, we would have to see. Another thing is, and maybe that's more relevant for us, because for us, I mean, for the guys working at SUSE, we've noticed that there are some tests that have hard-coded conditions and checking for CentOS, and then these tests are not running when using RHEL, while when you remove this hard-coded condition, you discover that the tests are actually passing with RHEL. So it would be nice if these tests would be cleaned up, and we would allow them to run on RHEL-like platforms, not just CentOS. And basically that's everything that we've added to this list. But if anyone has another idea that doesn't fit in any of the goals, or if someone thinks that we should rephrase the goals in some way, maybe because they're not clear, please let us know. Or if someone has questions.
Yeah, so I have a question. So with respect to a test or something, so there's like, how are we planning the environment or something? So it is like, we'll be providing us in AWS EC2 instance or something. So how we can share the resource or something?
For that, I think we should ask. I mean, I think we should first decide. I think it's a good question, but I think first it would be better if we would prioritize these goals, or try to add other goals that are missing here before we dive into really discussing the details that would be involved in those topics. What do you think?
Yeah, got that. And so I see like the second goal, and most of them speaks about the test suite, right? So the test suite is something, just kind of a JMeter, or which is related to a tool. It is kind of an automated test suite, or it is a manual test suite.
Sorry, can you reformulate the question? I didn't get it.
Yeah. So I see improved test suite performance. So the test suite which you are referring to is like, is that a tool we need to run the test, like JMeter or something like that? Or if you are, is this an automated test suite, or it is a manual test suite?
So SaltStack, Salt has a test suite which is automated, and you can see that is being even run on PRs, and you can see that it runs in Jenkins, so it's automated. I'm not sure, but I think that on PRs, not the full test suite is executed, but you can also run the test suite locally, and there is a documentation page for how to do that. I can try to find it for you. Or maybe I will add it later to the card. Let me actually write a comment there. So I will have to add a link to how to run the tests here. Okay, I've added that in the description. So I will answer. I mean, I think I partially answered your question. So it's an automated test suite, but I will add the link, and then you will be able to there and run the test suite on your local machine. Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you also have a question about the second? Well, it's the second in this list. The second goal, the improve test suite performance, or was this the question?
The question was towards the second.
Okay.
So I don't have any questions on the first one. So make the release process more transparent. So for that, I don't have any questions. So the previous question was towards improved test suite performance.
Okay, yeah. So right now we don't know exactly what that means.
Okay.
The idea would be to see if we agree that we all want something like that. So I would like to somehow prioritize, well, after we discuss these goals now, like if they make sense or if everybody understands what they mean, then I would like to move these cards above that card that we have at the top in this column, the water line, and above that, all of these goals would be ordered in the order of priority from top to bottom. And then we would have to create some cards that we could start looking to them depending on who's interested in what. So then, for example, for this improved test suite performance, we would create a card like check how the test suite is can be run, for example, or then we could create another card, check what are the tests that are taking a long time to run, or check if there are tests that are skipped and how to make them run and stuff like that. So if you are interested in that, you will have the opportunity to actually read about the test suite and try it yourself as part of the work that will be done in this group. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Got that.
Cool. Any other questions about these goals that we came up with?
So what should be the next step?
Well, if there are no other questions, the next step would be to try to move these goals and prioritize them. We would have to find a way to maybe vote on these and agree on what we want to focus on first, and then second, and so on.
Mihai,
yeah.
Maybe, I'm not sure here, just suggesting, maybe it will be also nice that, let's say, we assign ourselves depending on the interest that we want. For example, if there are people that are really interested into work in the improved test suite performance, just to see the feeling, maybe we can add ourselves to these cards. I'm not sure here, but just for, yeah, maybe there are people that wants to work on that directly, and there are other people that, yeah, have another interest on those epics. So, yeah, not really sure how we could proceed here.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, we cannot force anyone to work on something that they don't want to work on.
Yeah.
So even if we come up with some priority here, since this is a community effort.
Sure. Yeah. But it's more in the sense that, let's say that people are really interested into parallelization of the test suite, and there are no one that's really interested into, let's say, I'm just saying examples here, and make the release process more transparent. So
sure, but I was thinking like maybe to try this I know this poker planning thing is not really for prioritizing, but since we are basically here the product owner, so the group decides what's more important. Maybe it could work here. So I was thinking that we could take each card in turn, and everybody would write their number, let's say from 0 to 10, or about, and the number would show what would be, of course, it will also show the interest of that person, but also what the person would think it would be more important for as an outcome, and more interesting as a result of this working group. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that will work. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so then I would say we could open the first one in the list, the make release process more transparent, and we could all add a comment there with just a number from 0 to 10, and then see what are the results and discuss on that, and then try to agree on that.
10 is most important?
Yes.
Good.
Mihai, I think that there is a plugin in Trello for voting. So I think that you can enable something in the board so people can vote there.
Okay, I don't know about that. Do you know how to do it?
So this show menu, there is some kind of plugin somewhere. If you are the admin, you can show that. You can see that. And there are like, I think that there is like 1 or 2 that they are like free, and you can, so let me check in my board.
Yeah, so when you click on the card, in the right bottom, you can see an action, and below that,
vote. Yeah.
vote.
But then it's just, now I don't think it would work like that, because it's just a binary thing. So you either vote for that or not vote for it. So I was trying to maybe get a number. For example, let's say there are 3 members and one of them would vote 1, another one would vote 5, and one would vote 10. So then I would be interested to ask the one that voted 1 and the one that voted 10 why they think it's, or the one that voted 10, why is it so important, and the other one why he thinks it's not so important. And the thing is that we would also have to try to make this relative to the other goals in the board. For example,
Is that are we going to decide, or it is like there are much more people to vote on this? Because if we 5 or 6 going to work on, we can actually have on the call itself, we can decide. It will not take much time. Just a suggestion.
So I think the participants in the group are the ones that would decide on this. Basically, that's my impression. So I
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll start first and then I'll give my suggestions. So the question is towards like which we can take the which goal or the epics part of the list we need to take first. Is that right? The question?
Actually, maybe we should start in a different way. Maybe, do you think that any of these goals are really not important, and maybe like very obvious that it should be last, like the least important one?
Okay.
Is there anything like that?
Yeah. So
I mean, it doesn't really have to be the least one, but maybe one that would be toward the bottom of the list and not at the top. And then the other way around, the one that would be towards the top of the list. And for example, I think that improving the test suite performance could be considered to be towards the top, or making the release process more transparent could also be a good candidate for that, to be at the top of the priorities. And then we could start with those if we all agree that they are important, and then find the one at the bottom, and then try to put the others in relation to these two. What do you think?
Yeah. So when you ask me this question, so it is like I'll go with the order of the one which interests me, right? So for example, I like to work on the improved test suite results reliability, because with this I will get to know about the test suite and how the existing result has been given from the test suite, if it is written in Python or something. So I'll see the results, and then I can work on the I learn and then do something, right? So in this case, I see like the improved test suite results reliability and the improved test suite performance could be my interest area.
Okay, sure, but please try to vote on all of them, not just that, because if you are interested in that, maybe you think that some of the goals here are really not important, so it also be good to vote there. Maybe you would vote with a lower number there.
By the way, can we repeat numbers?
I guess. I mean, even if we would end up with some goals on the same level, I mean, we will not be that accurate. It will just be at the top or at the bottom or somewhere in the middle, after all. Okay, but try to vote with your own mind, not by reading what others are voting.
Yeah.
Okay, I will give it some time. I will also go and vote myself, and then we can come back and look at the goals and discuss and see if there are discrepancies between the votes and try to agree on those. By the way, it's the first time I'm doing it this way, so let's see. I hope it will work. By the way, it's also fine if you vote something and then while you go through the list, you think, okay, but this is not as important as this one. It's fine to go back and change the number there. So, but then at some point we will stop voting and we will discuss.
Maybe we can, I'm not sure, click on yes or something like that here on the Zoom when we are finishing voting to know that everyone has finished.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone got finished. We are five, and she vote on all the five. I mean, all the tasks.
Okay, and even if someone did not vote, they would still, maybe they're not convinced, so we could get more votes when we discuss that goal. So then I would say to go look at them in order and see if we have agreement on those. Like by that I mean if the votes would be very close, we could basically then set the priority to that number, or a number that is basically aggregating the votes. And if there are big discrepancies, we will discuss them. Okay, so I will just go with the first one. I see like 3 of 8, 9, and a 6. I don't know, maybe a 7 or 8 would summarize that. What do you think on the make the release process more transparent? Maybe Swami, why do you think that's not okay? 6 is not necessarily meaning that it's not important, but it's lower than the rest of the votes. Why do you see it like that?
So I've voted based on the interest which I have. Like if I get more clarity on the task, and also like if interest me, then I just go with the above average. That is above 5, and if there's everyone agrees to it, I just made it to be below 5. I mean below average. So it is almost to the average.
Okay, so you basically are saying that you gave it at 6, 6 because you are not that interested into the release process.
Yeah, I think so. That needs a more clarity on this, because it is a release process in the sense, is that something we need to discuss on the direction of the decision, or it is something. So if it is something in an action, like we need to test or do something or develop something, I'm more interested towards that. And if it is something towards a process, documentation or something, yeah, I can also be part of it. But that is not the top list on my priority, but I can take it up. Anything is fine.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to force you to like it.
No, I got that.
Trying to understand, because maybe you have a valid point, and maybe then you would convince someone else to lower their vote, and then we agree to a better score for this one. But if I understood correctly, it's more like you're not interested in this topic, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, but I think it's an important one, because since this is a SALT is about community, I think it's important that the release process is as transparent as possible. And of course, maybe this is my fault. Maybe I have not really looked into it. But if we can do something there, maybe there's nothing to do there. Maybe the documentation is already very good here and clear, and everything is transparent. If that's the case, then this would be an easy one, and we will move over it fast. But if there is something that we can improve here, I think then we could safely set this to I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 8 or somewhere there, and then we will see what's to be done here. So I've set the label, this orange one, which is an 8. We have some labels here. Then let's move to the improve test suite performance. We have an interesting voting here, a 1 and 2 10s and a 9 and someone in the middle. Okay, let's not start again with Swami. Maybe he will think we have something with him. But I will ask you about your vote just to understand why it's 1.
Sure, sure, sure.
But I could say that because I have voted 10, and then we can ask the others that voted with a high number here. I think it's important here because since it's again, Salt is about community, and when a developer is trying to fix something in Salt or to contribute somehow, or to even test some idea or something like that, it would be nice to have a tool that would allow him to get a fast feedback about his idea or about his contribution, and if it's if his change would break something in Salt, or if it would work perfectly. So I think it's a good thing to have a fast way to get feedback here. And also then if this is not executed locally and it's executed in Jenkins in the PR, it's also good to have a fast response there, because if the developer is losing interest there and he's moving to something else, maybe the PR will stay there for longer than it's needed. So that's why I think it's important, but let's ask the others. Johan?
Of course, yeah. So having tests is really nice, and I would say even essential. But in order to really work, tests have to be really, really fast. It would be really nice if we could execute tests right on the safe and would get immediate feedback. But with such a huge test suite that we have here, this is not impossible. But still, we should try to get the test suite as fast as it can be. So then, if someone opens up a pull request, we get the feedback within minutes, and not like we see it with other test suites inside of SUSE that take hours to run. And at the end of the day, then you really don't know who broke what, and you have to look at several. I know that the situation here is not exactly like that, but this is basically the worst case. You have to look at several pull requests to see which of the pull requests broke the test suite, and yeah. So this is really something that I would think is very, very important.
Thanks. Pablo, do you have something extra that we did not say?
No, I shared
that it's not.
Yeah, I have the same feeling that Johan, for example. So, and even so, the test suite is growing fast in that sense of a number of tests that are executed. And at the end, if we have a test suite that takes 4 hours into run, then it's always difficult because also we merge, or there are a lot of stuff that's introduced on the code, and then at the end we cannot easily track which changes produces which failure. So it would be really nice to being able to run this in a way that we can run it quite faster and more efficient way in order to also track the failures that that they are producing. Yeah. So that's why I give also a 9 here.
Okay, thanks. I think Alberto also had okay, it's in the middle, but do you also want to say something?
I mean, I recognize that the task is relevant, is important, but I'm not sure that for me makes sense, because we have like these two kind of different tests, one that come from the unit test and that one comes from integration test, and we have very limited resources. So when I develop, what I do is to concentrate most on the fast cycle for me, that is the unit tests that are relevant for me. this is not very slow. I mean, I identify very slow tests that in fact they are broken. For example, in the loader, there is a very slow test that are loading all the modules, and it's something that is not expected to be happening in the test, and it's something very painful if you are developing in this part of the project. But I don't see that the slowness of that part is the problem. In my opinion, the problem is the amount of tests that are missing. In my opinion, this is a more relevant task. So yeah, I mean, I can see that the speed is improvement is something good, but yeah, I will prefer to invest the time in different tasks. But yes, very nice task.
Okay, so you are saying that you are sorry, Johan, I'll just add something. So you are saying that when you are developing, you are fine with running the unit tests, and these are fast enough for you, or if they are not fast enough, you can just run the tests that are in your area of interest, and then you are fine with the performance there.
You're right. Basically, the integration tests are running in the pull request, so later I can check. But for me, this is not a very big deal. But you're right.
Okay, but I would add that you said that the test suite is not complete or is missing a lot of things. If we would add more things, it might be that you will no longer be satisfied with the performance of even of the unit test.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is why I think that it's a problem more in the future than right now. But yes.
Okay.
But also Alberto brings some idea here that I think is not covered for in any of the goal, which is that maybe we could identify places where we should improve the testing, because there is not testing at all, or because they are not heavily tested, and that will be also a nice task to work on. So identify places where we should improve the current test that we have.
Yeah, that's true, but maybe, yeah, that's true.
But
Maybe
I can create an idea and put it in the idea column, and we can just
okay, yeah, I don't
there.
think we will finish discussing all of the goals today. I was not expecting this to be an easy task, but I think we already are on the way. So let's see. I think what was the slot for this meeting? Like 1 hour?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what we can still do in the remaining time. Johan, want to say something? Sorry.
No, you basically said what I wanted to say. If you add tests, the test suite gets slower, then you have to improve it to get faster again to run all of them.
Okay, but I also see the arguments of Alberto. So Swami also gave it a really low one. Have you changed your mind, or you are still thinking it should really be a 1?
Yeah, so I think from your discussion, what I see is like you all know about the test suite, what it is and how it is, but I haven't seen that. So due to that, it is all a kind of a guess numbers which I have made. If the topic interests me, I just given the points. Maybe if so maybe if I see the test suite or something, I think I can get more idea. So maybe for this meeting, I would suggest it is like you can decide upon the goal which we are going to work. I'm agreeing with anything which is being taken in this meeting from others as well.
Okay, but I understand maybe because you are not well accustomed with this topic, or you don't think it's important, or you don't find it that interesting, but then I would rather tend to give it a higher score here. And maybe once you will know more about this topic, yeah, you will have a better view. And
exactly.
Okay, then we agree on this. So I would Okay, we have 2 10s and 9. I would rather, I mean, Alberto convinced me a bit in the sense of not giving really a 10, because he's right. You can isolate the tests that you are interested in when you are developing in some part of the product. Maybe we could improve in that area of grouping the tests somehow, but that falls in another goal. What I mean is to make it nicer to, when you run on grains, to have like a predefined group of grains, let's see, and you run those tests that are relevant. Maybe this is already the case. I'm just making this up right now, but something in that direction. So yes, maybe it's not a real problem right now. This is more like a problem when you run the entire test suite, which could also be a big one, but then I would change mine to maybe make it something like an 8. And if the others are staying with their vote, it's kind of okay. If we leave out the 1 for now, as we agreed with Swami, then it's more like between 5, 8, 9, 10. Maybe it's more than 7, since we only have a 5. Do we agree on a 7, 8, let's say, somewhere? Or does anyone have more arguments to lower or to get the number higher than that? Okay, let's give it a 7, and then we will see. There's no 7, so there's a 5 or 8. So then I will give it an 8. That's good. Okay. So it's more or less the same as the previous one. Maybe we will change our mind about that. But do we still have to do one more problem? Let's just take a look there. So there's a lot of 2, 5, 6, 7, and a 10. Maybe Alberto, do you want to tell us about your 10 in the improved testing on OpenSUSE?
Yeah, I mean, this is a personal goal for me, and it's relevant for the community of OpenSUSE and my work there. So basically, I am super happy that we have Ubuntu and Red Hat upstream test. It's extremely relevant. And I would like to help maybe a bit in order to have some gating for OpenSUSE. For example, I perceive Tumbleweed as an excellent page builder. For one side, we have very traditional distribution with very old software. And this is going to help SLE like RHEL, so RHEL is there. But I would like to have something tested in something running release like Tumbleweed, so we can find mismatch of the CLI very soon. And yeah, I think that is, I find value on that, and I would like to work on that, but not much apart from that.
Okay, so so you're more interested into this, but from the point of view of the community, would you think that 10 is still relevant, like from the SALT community in general, not from our restricted group at SUSE? Because if I would just think of from my point of view, from the SUSE point of view, maybe I would also give it a 10, but I was trying to be more objective a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be provide an argument of from the point of view of SALT. So we have something that is moving very fast, and it's like the future. How is going to be the future of the CLIs that we have available? So it's a very nice opportunity to find problems in SALT very soon. So if, for example, I don't know, some Kubernetes API change or some CLI change, if we can detect that in Tumbleweed, because it's the last of the last, it's going to help to provide fix very soon in the project. That's my main argument, not related, of course, with the OpenSUSE side.
Okay, but looking at the votes, I could give it, okay, maybe a 5 or an 8. But now, if we think about the other goals that we already prioritize, which are like 8, do we think that this is on the same level as those, or maybe lower than?
Lower.
Yeah, so that's also what I think, because this is because it's more about OpenSUSE and it's not so generic as the others. I would rather give it a bit less than the others. Okay, so actually now I also realized that I made a bit of a mistake, because the labels are with Fibonacci numbers and we voted with normal numbers from 0 to 10. And now I have to translate these numbers to Fibonacci, but I didn't do that. I basically rounded the votes to well, a number between 0 and 10. But okay, I'll try to fix that. But then I would give this, let's give it 5, which is the Fibonacci that's lower than 8. Okay, and I think we already passed the 6 o'clock, so it's already 1 hour of meeting. We did some progress here. I will be on vacation, so we cannot schedule an extra meeting to continue with the goals prioritization. Maybe we can discuss that in Slack and try to do it like that. If we cannot agree, I will look at the other cards, and if some of them we can already have a number there, I will put that on the card. But if there are some cards where are big disagreements, we can discuss in Slack and try to come up with a number. And I will also put the links that Swami asked for, and try to maybe improve the description of these cards. But for now, I think it's good. We also had the introduction round. I'm happy with the results. So thanks for joining. Anyone wants to say anything else?
Yeah, thank you, and looking forward to work on the testing in future.
Thanks. So let's keep in touch in Slack.
Sure, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. And yeah, looking forward to start working on this. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Have a nice day, evening, or whatever you have there. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.